Greetings, friends, smugglers, bounty hunters, acolytes of the beyond, and welcome back to our archives, open to all entities. I have been expecting you. Recently on the channel, we have been covering the powers and abilities of some of the most powerful revolutionization Sith to ever revolutionize the Order, including but not limited to Brutish Sith Hulk and warrior Darth Malgus, Emperor Sheev Palpatine, the ruler and governor of the Galactic Empire, tyrannical Sith lapdog Darth Vader, and many, many more, including Darth Plagueis the Wise. There are many Sith we have explored in multiple different facets of existence, including their combat prowess, their raw force power, and their ability to hold their own in a duel, as we have done with multiple beings, including Darth Malgus, Count Dooku, Darth Vader, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Vitiate. Today, however, we are going to be venturing into another facet of Sith skills that is not as commonly debated. We are going to be unveiling who truly is the most intelligent Sith, who has the raw prodigious skill that allows for a truly mastermind entity and being to be born within the Sith ranks, and who proved themselves an unrivaled mind with prodigious talent that is not surpassed by any. Before we continue with the top 10 most intelligent Sith Lords of all time, I pour a great amount of my time and effort into these videos. And if you wish to see more content released more frequently in the future, then I heavily suggest you click that subscribe button and support the channel. Through this, we can access more holocrons in the Forbidden section, dispatch more researchers to uncover new information. Now, my friends, let's begin. Starting off, we have Darth Traya. Darth Traya is one of the most mysterious Old Republic characters, and one of its most dangerous, Darth Traya being given the aforementioned title of Lord of Betrayal. Darth Traya was one of the most mysteriously cloaked figures in all of the Star Wars lore, with Darth Traya having an incredibly high IQ, being able to rein in and harness the power and immense prodigious talent of Darth Nihilus himself, being the tutor of Revan, teaching him about many different battle strategies and ancient lore. Traya was stated to be one of the greatest Sith lore experts in all of history, and one of the greatest mistresses of the dark side that had ever been created. Traya was able to telekinetically manipulate 3 lightsabers at once, meaning she had great knowledge and prided herself on knowing every dark side technique that she potentially could. She was a master strategist, being able to manipulate Nihilus into his own death, being able to toy with Darth Sion, and even able to survive after being stripped of the Force and both her hands being hewed from her body. Despite this though, she was still killed and outwitted by Meetra Surik. Although willingly, she still died. Coming at the number 9 position, we have the primary leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems in Count Dooku. Count Dooku was the second apprentice of Darth Sidious, known as Lord Tyrannus, and the primary manipulator and instigator of the Clone Wars conflict. Count Dooku's past life as a Jedi gave him an exceptional knowledge and databanks on relations to the Force, being able to perform Force lightning and learn more Force techniques that would take others years. Dooku was a masterful swordsman, able to manipulate and curb and control beings like General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, to his very whim. Dooku was exceptionally skilled in the mind, being able to create military tactics almost as well as his cybernetically aided monstrosity General Grievous that he had at his second in command. Dooku was capable of, even in the end, being able to manipulate Palpatine to a certain extent, forming a plan to actually kill his master, although this would eventually fail. Dooku's status and ability to delete information from the Jedi archives truly stakes his claim at number 9, and he is unquestionably one of the most intelligent Sith in the recent Star Wars era. Coming in at the number 8 position, we have Darth Tenebrous. Darth Tenebrous is the master of Darth Plagueis, with Darth Tenebrous being able to generate a naturally generated virus out of the Force, with his Twi'lek male master in him, wanting to generate a virus to strip the Jedi's connection to the Force. Tenebrous was a Bith scientist and scholar, who looked into midichlorians and eventually found a way of cheating death, called maxichlorians. Maxichlorians allowed Tenebrous to attach his spirit into another being's midichlorians and truly become immortal, although Tenebrous's paranoia ultimately ruled over him and governed his decisions, ultimately ending in his eternal, preeminent and perpetual death. Tenebrous was exceptionally skilled and was capable of generating a virus, although it did not work, to strip the Jedi of their force. Attunement. Tenebrous was also able to be a biological scientist and adept. Coming in at the number 7 position, we have one of the most famous Sith Lords on this list in Darth Bane. Darth Bane, formerly known as Dessel, was a cruel manipulator and a cunning tactician. Bane was able to engineer the downfall of the Sith, killing nearly 100 Sith, including Lord Khan, Asim, and multiple others, some of the most powerful Sith Lords at the time. Darth Bane was capable of manipulating Lord Khan, the leader of the Brotherhood of Darkness, into using the Force and Thought Bomb, a dark side technique that wiped out all Sith and nearly all Jedi, allowing Bane to insinuate the Rule of Two. Bane also was able to create the Rule of Two, and it was stated that without that, the Sith would never have dominated the Jedi as they did in 19 BBY under Palpatine's leadership. Darth Bane was considered, while he was on Korriban, the primary student, the highest shining academy learner there. Darth Bane was a pure adept at the dark side, with his cunning, strategic, and tactical mind. There was almost no foe he could not overcome. Eventually, he would perish, as the Rule of Two stated, to his own Padawan in Darth Xana, and allow the legacy of Sith to continue. Coming in at the number 6, you should have seen this coming at one point, we have Darth Vader. Darth Vader retained his knowledge he had achieved as Anakin Skywalker, as a brilliant general and tactician. Anakin's military strategies are on par with Darth Revan's, being almost indomitable, being able to defeat and best separatists at almost every single turn. Darth Vader shared this same skill. He was able to strategically outmaneuver almost any single rebel, including Luke Skywalker and Saw Gerrera. He was able to carefully pick out locations where the most valuable targets were and anticipate where his enemies were. He was able to tap into the dark side and use foresight, a heavily complex ability. However, he would never be able to use this after his maiming on Mustafar. He was able to manipulate TIE fighters and TIE Advance in order to take out the primary locations, deduce diversions, and figure out where they would end up. Darth Vader was a pure military strategist who knew exactly what he needed to do, and it was because of his prodigious talent as the Chosen One that Darth Vader ultimately ended up becoming one of the greatest tactical minds in galactic history. But he could not match up to number 5, Darth Ndedu. While not a pure tactical genius like some of the others, Darth Ndedu was the definition of a scholar. Due to his paranoia, he was isolated as the immortal God King of Prakoth, a title he would retain for the next 7,500 years. Ndedu was born sometime before the reign of Vitiate and after the arrival of the Dark Jedi, and sealed himself away once he was over 3 centuries old with all his knowledge. Ndedu was stated to be the forebearer and preeminent owner of the Darth title, being the most prominent owner of the title in all of galactic history and creating it. Ndedu possessed a wide variety of knowledge of Sith spells, scrolls, and various other methods in terms of Sith sorcery than any other being, not even Vitiate, could understand. He was able to pioneer essence transfer and a constellation of other unique dark side talents. He could even appear as a Force ghost without receiving ample training, proving that his time as a scholar has paid off. However, in the end, it was because of his vast library of knowledge that he fell, after Darth Ryloth convinced him that all his subjects were burning his scrolls. He died of paranoia, and ultimately left the number 4 position up to Vitiate. You should have anticipated this. Vitiate is one of the most powerful and intelligent Sith of all time, and unquestionably the most experienced Sith on this list. Vitiate, formerly known as Tenebrae and later the Eternal Emperor Valkorion, was able to manipulate Revan and Malak, turning them both to the dark side by dominating their wills and pressing his dark imprint on their minds. Vitiate was able to dominate beings of the dark side easier than even Palpatine himself. He was able to govern over an entire war, manipulate one of the most powerful Sith of all time in Marka Ragnos. He was capable of curbing and controlling over 8,000 Sith Lords, dominating their willpower and giving his light sentence to him to become immortal. Vitiate, even after he became the Eternal Emperor in Valkorion, still retained his brilliant tactical mind, as he was able to predict Arcan, after he accidentally murdered his twin brother and best friend Thexan, about to kill him, and predicted he would have to entomb himself within the Outlander, the greatest Jedi at the time's body. Valkorion, in the end, was an almost unbeatable strategist, and due to his over a millennia and a half of tactical training, he only can be surpassed by 3. Number 3 is obviously Darth Revan. You should have seen this coming as well, my friends. Darth Revan is one of the most brilliant tactical minds of the entirety of Star Wars, not just the Sith. With Darth Revan being able to overwhelm the Mandalorian forces as a Jedi, and go on to brutally subdue the Republic, nearly decimating it. Although his will was dominated by Vitiate due to his keen adeption for the dark side, Revan was capable of conceiving strategies that were so brutal not even the Mandalorians had anticipated it. Revan was said to have his strategies be too much for the Mandalorians, ultimately resulting in the activation of the mass shadow generator that ended up turning Revan to the dark side. Revan was a pure tactical genius and could oversee the progress of a battle in a way that no one else could, and was widely considered one of the greatest tactical minds to have ever lived. Revan was able to lead the Sith Empire on a series of brutal crusades that ultimately resulted in nearly the extermination of the Jedi Order. He led a similar crusade against the Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders, driving them to the brink of extinction. Coming in at the number 2, we have Darth Plagueis, the Wise. You should have seen this coming. He literally has the Wise in his name. Darth Plagueis was a Mon Sith Lord who engineered and was the leader of a very crucial role in the intergalactic banking clan, meaning that Plagueis, known to the public as Higo Damask, controlled a large majority of the galaxy's funding and their supplies. Plagueis was an exceptionally talented manipulator, being able to manipulate people to do essentially anything he wanted, whilst not as skilled as his apprentice. Plagueis was also capable of almost effortlessly being able to get what he wanted. He was able to control and curb multiple beings in order to allow the Sith Grand Plan to spiral into completion. Plagueis was also capable of creating a way to survive death by resurrecting death. He was a scientist, a scholar, and he truly pushed science beyond what even his Bithmaster in Tenebrous had done, truly staking himself as one of, if not the most intelligent Sith of all time. But coming in at the number 1 position is Emperor Sheev Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, is one of the most gruesome, maniacal, bloodthirsty, and powerful Sith Lords. Palpatine was the orchestrator of the entire Clone Wars conflict, playing right into his hand at the very beginning. Palpatine was the king of every single board, the Supreme Chancellor, and Darth Sidious on both the Republic and the Separatist side. Palpatine found it thrilling to sit within a room of the Jedi High Council members. Anyone who questioned him was silenced. Anyone disagreed with him was dealt with. Palpatine's manipulative tactics were beyond anyone in the entirety of Star Wars. He persuaded both Dooku and Anakin, 2 of the Jedi's most powerful combatants of all time, to the dark side, being able to strike wounds into the heart of the Jedi Order, and being able to defeat every single person in a battle of the mind every single time. Palpatine was a tactical genius, military genius, and tactician. There is truly no Sith smarter than Emperor Sheev Palpatine. Well, my friends, what did you think of this video? Do you want me to explore more content in the future, roughly around the most intelligent Sith in Star Wars? I'm currently compiling a lore compilation on both Palpatine and Malgus, and will be releasing videos related to this subject later in the year. Well, my friends, I hope that you have enjoyed. Be sure to smash like and subscribe if you wish to make the subscribe button blow up like the first Death Star. Goodbye, my friends, and I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away.